there's a lot more zero-day vulnerabilities that are being used and also detected. And there's a pretty big debate about what that means. Does it mean that there are more zero-day vulnerabilities that are in use, or does it mean that there is better detection? So there's kind of the same amount, but we're actually catching them faster and more. And it looks like, at least according to the kind of analysis by this article, that, yeah, it seems as though most of the time better detection is contributing to this. However, there are a lot of zero-day vulnerabilities, especially around mobile devices and browsers, that are increasingly becoming popular. So before we didn't see as many of these 0 days that were targeting browsers and mobile applications, but now we can see that that is a huge focus. So it's interesting to note that these 0 day vulnerabilities, which previously were kind of exclusively the realm of governments that could afford to do all the research and development to stockpile these and weaponize them, are now also being developed by criminal organizations that are using them for ransomware or all sorts of other applications that make them money. So there's now a robust private market in exploitation and access, in which some of these exploit brokers will just buy up this research, turn it into weaponized exploits, and turn around and sell it to people who want to deliver ransomware or want to deliver malware or want to get access to a specific target, but don't know how, or don't have the tools to themselves, but have money ready to pay. So this whole private marketplace of 0 day vulnerabilities and the enablement of all this private money to go into basically the development of exploits that can be used for delivery of malware and ransomware, which is very profitable, that's kind of driven all of these 0 day vulnerabilities to be in use a lot more than they previously were. Because in the past, nation states would develop these and sit on them for long periods of time until they were discovered and then had to be patched and stuff, like we had with WannaCry. Well, Eternal Blue, which turned into WannaCry. But here we have an instance of an active marketplace that uses these vulnerabilities all the time, that's incentivizing them being developed, sold, and actively used in ongoing malware attacks. So that's one of the big reasons why we're seeing so many 0 days. But it's still really interesting to note that we're doing a much better job of detecting these and actually reacting to them than we have been in previous years. And the last piece for me this week is Olympics of black hat hacking. It looks like the Chinese are winning when it comes to the sheer use of 0 day vulnerabilities. Now, of course, 0 day vulnerabilities are increasing in use all the time, but the Chinese Hafnium group used a lot of them, relatively, in order to do a lot of monitoring and espionage-based activities on Microsoft Exchange in order to monitor the communications of governments and such abroad. Overall, it looks like in second place was Russia, which used 2 0 day vulnerabilities, and finally North Korea with 1. And China had, I believe, 8 0 day vulnerabilities used total, and 2 0 day vulnerabilities were burned just in that one campaign to try to monitor Exchange servers. So that's a lot. And as we discussed before, 0 day vulnerabilities are expensive to develop into weaponized exploits. And as soon as they're blown, they get patched really quickly. So in order to have unobstructed access to, maybe Exchange servers or something like that, you would have to develop this exploit, try to keep it secret for as long as possible. And then when it finally becomes public, just accept the fact you've lost a very valuable tool that is now substantially less valuable and less potent. So burning vulnerabilities, is crazy, especially when they're 0 days, but it looks like these groups are increasingly willing to do it in order to get an advantage. Also, Zam points out in the chat that by holding onto 0 day vulnerabilities, you also increase the risk of somebody else disclosing them. As was debatably the case during the Eternal Blue thing, it looked as though there had been some sort of agreement between like the NSA and Microsoft where if they found something really bad, that being the NSA, they were supposed to tell Microsoft so they could develop a patch and then prevent some sort of disaster from happening if an adversary, just leaked this tool. Whoops. Well, they forgot to share that, and then it was basically that exact scenario that happened. This tool was leaked. It was still completely able to be exploited. Microsoft had no time at all to develop the patch for it, and we had the Eternal Blue / WannaCry thing happen. So yeah, there's definitely some problems there with hoarding 0 day vulnerabilities. So maybe it is good that these countries are just immediately using them rather than stockpiling them as they used to be. All right, so that is all the time we have for this week. I want to thank, of course, Zam and everybody else in the chat for hanging out with us today and talking about the security news, and also for some of the corrections, like on the distributed denial of secrets, hacktivist group versus distribution group. It's always good to have other people in the chat keeping us honest and hanging out with us. So Alex, thanks for joining us this week.
course.
If you want to join us for our next Q&A session, you can either leave a question on the YouTube video and we will answer it live on Wednesday, where we hopefully will have a special guest, which I cannot announce yet. But if you if you join us either on the Security Forward channel or on the Hack5 channel on Wednesday, you can find out who that is. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.